in the game. This is my time, faster than ever, hungry and I'm going to come back and take what is mine, bigger and better. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. Some things are different, but nothing has changed. Still got my number, still got my name. Tell everybody I'm back in the game. Saddle, cut to the chase. I ain't somebody who stays in one place. Ready to go, I'm coming to play. You better know I still got something to say. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. Some things are different, but nothing has changed. Still got my number, still got my name. Tell everybody I'm back in the game. match I couldn't handle. No one else could ever hold a candle. Get ready for a battle, cause you know that I was born for this. I was born for this. Never met a match I couldn't handle. No one else could ever hold a candle. Get ready for a battle, cause you know I was born. I tell you I was born for this. Ain't nothing gonna stop me now. I was born for this.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Crown Jewel Elite Model Stock Car Series. Tonight, more short track racing action here on LSRTV Wednesday night. And our next destination is here at Langley Speedway for the Hampton Heat 200. Thank you for joining us again on LSRTV. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Justin Prince. Charles Wooten's going to be our producer this evening and that of the LSRTV studios. It's been a wild couple of weeks, but we're here at Langley, excited for some great racing action. And Justin, it has been a revolving door of change, and the change continues as tonight, like it was last week, going to be a smaller field for these drivers for the featured event.
Yes, indeed, 20 drivers will be able to race in tonight's feature race. 200 laps on the docket for tonight, which means if you're amongst this gigantic roster of entrants, you can't afford to make mistakes, whether it's in qualifying or whether it's in the LCQ, where it's down to just 4 spots to get in, Sam. It's very tight, it's very compact, you need to be picture perfect, and keep in mind, if you want to keep up for the championships, whether it's for the Triple Crown for the state of Virginia, or whether it's for the overall championship, you cannot afford to not make the feature.
And there's going to be a much bigger field here this evening. A lot of the drivers that have been missing out these last couple of weeks have been notified, hey, if you've registered, you have to race here tonight or your registration will be revoked. So drivers got pushed. They've got their, reasoning to be here this evening. So bigger field like we haven't seen all season long. We've got ourselves qualifying. That's going to start here in just about 3 minutes. Then we're going to have ourselves an LCQ event for these drivers. So it certainly is going to be a fun one this evening. But Justin, the points certainly is something that the drivers are feeling right now, and it's consistency that's right now on top of the board.
Yes, indeed, and Brett Suggs has had the consistency entering this evening out of the 5 rounds held. That includes the triple header to start the season, 4 top 10s, 2 top 5s. He's got the best points tally in turn, despite having less wins and top 5s than Justin Brooks, because in part he stayed out of trouble with the incident points throughout the rounds. However, he is not here tonight. He is unable to make tonight's action due to various commitments. Justin Brooks has a big chance to run away as the points leader over Dustin Momberket. That's a 14-point separation between second and third in the standings. Keep in mind, Momberket, the season leader in victories, 2 victories on the trot, has had some incidents, yes, but he's coming off momentum when it comes to the sim world, but also in the real world, where in his own limited late model, he picked up the victory at Sunset Speedway in the province of Ontario this past weekend. So a lot of speed has been picked up by Momberket. So those top 2, keep an eye on them, as well as, don't forget, McCollum and Alec Grace right behind them. 4th and 5th.
Yeah, McCollum's still looking for that first win this season. I think that's the biggest shock in my eyes. Expected this 8 to at least have 1 to 2 wins. Hasn't got it done, but certainly is going to be a driver to watch out for here this evening. But James Curl also going to be a driver to watch out for. Both those drivers had their incident back at New Smyrna, and I think that's the fun thing that we've been watching. These drivers, with the shrunk down field, it was because of drivers having a lot of wrecks, incidents, and wrecking intentionally at a lot of different drivers. We're hoping that that gets calmed down. But as we see here, could be heating up like the track is. Ambient temperature going to be that of 87 degrees Fahrenheit. Quite a breeze at that 12 to 13 miles per hour. Going to be fluctuating with that track temp 92 as we're expecting those lights to kick in. And we'll see how these drivers are going to react under the lights, but partly cloudy to start out here at practice.
Absolutely going to be intriguing how that weather progresses throughout the night, because here's the thing, Sam, it's extremely hot. When you look at those temperatures or seeing those temperatures, a lot of drivers will be battling with those conditions throughout the night. The track temperature being that high usually means it will be slick for these competitors. So a potential of slipping and sliding on corner exit can make things difficult if you want to be able to contend and be quick around this racetrack. The fall-off differences could also be more drastic, and the tire fall-off in general more drastic. Drivers are running about 16 seconds on average tonight at the track right now.
We'll take another look at the weather here in just about 30 seconds once we transfer over to qualifying, see what has changed, because that's going to be the biggest time for these drivers to be gaining any type of just security and confidence going into the featured race. 16 drivers will make it out of qualifying, and for those drivers, they're going to have 4 laps each, and we'll see who can put down the fastest laps with those 4 laps for themselves. And if you don't make it in, you're not in those top 16, you'll have the LCQ, a 20-lap last chance qualifier where the top 4 will move forward. Well, practice is done. We're ticking down the clock. Qualifying about to start. And Justin, qualifying has been very important for these drivers, but they have been notified. But like we've seen for all this season, there will be an invert that they have to worry about.
Yes, indeed, especially for the feature in itself. 12-car invert in particular. How does that impact drivers in terms of how they perform in qualifying? It can be tricky, Sam, on that mark, because you don't want to be the slowest driver on the track. You also don't, at some cases, want to be in the hornet's nest. So it's a balancing act for sure for tonight. It will really make it challenging for those who are the quickest of the quickest. We see some of the drivers do some tire magic to prepare for the quali.
Yeah, these drivers taking it slow, trying to make sure that they're set up. Talked about we want to look at the temperature. Well, the track temp has cooled off. It's 90 degrees as it's going to still be partly cloudy. 87 still ambient temperature. The wind has dropped. It's only at 10, but that's going to be a factor for these 10 minutes. How will it change and evolve as drivers are starting on their laps? As here's going to be the 9 of Alex Gretz going to be getting himself first lap down out of turn number 4.
And you can see he's just trying to get his tires up to spin at temp with that opening lap, then get himself rolling for the second lap, the hard-running one. 16.1 was around the time he put it in practice. Not going to be easy to pick up the pace, keep in mind, for some of the second lap, because in some cases, those tire temps going to skyrocket for others. A little bit quicker, not enough to jump up. In fact, he lost a spot with Marquette putting a time up.
And we're going to be seeing these drivers setting themselves forward. Marquette with a 15.949. Going to be the fastest time at the moment. As we see here, Kyle Storm, and see what Storm can put down. Going to be the 87 on car 15 on our ticker this evening. So we'll see what that a Storm can do. Entering turns number 3. This is going to be their first lap on what Kyle can do at turn number 4. Cross the line. That's going to be a little bit of a slower time than you want to see for Storm. Going to be 15th currently on the board, and last of those that have put down a time.
So a decent time put up so far for Storm. Second lap, he does have the chance to go around. They have 4 laps available, should be worth noting, to technically improve their times, but most are only taking the 2 because of how drastic some of the fall off can be here at this racetrack. And you can see, even with the line being taken, about 90 miles an hour by the end of the straightaways. The amount of roll through the corners, about 60 to 70 miles an hour. It's not an easy track to handle with the downforce.
Here's going to be that of Kenny Brady, going to be for the 54. What can Brady put down? First lap, very slow, 18-second lap time. Going to try to advance that here at a turn 4 low, trying to be quick. You got to be in the top 16 if you want to move on to the featured event. 7th, currently going to be for that 54. That is a quick time for Brady, and that could be fast enough to keep him inside of our top 16.
Langford's had some good momentum over the past few weeks or so. Going to be interesting to see how things fare out for someone such as himself. Runs in various different series with that specific paint scheme. Got a lot of backing from various different groups throughout his iRacing career. 16 flat, though. Not good enough really to break through fully, though, on the board.
And not going to be fully, but certainly, you want to see a little bit more speed come from that team, but at least, good enough to be 6th. So good enough to be inside of our top 16. Driver that 16th place going to be Drew Cox on the bubble. As here comes a couple of drivers, going to be that of Noah Allison, going to be trying to best and get inside of our top 16. Going to be 17th after that lap. And that right there for Allison, only one more lap left. 2 laps to go. As here comes Ryan Kuhn, going to be trying to do his best to get inside of our top 16.
And Ryan Kuhn is one of the stars you have to put next to this race tonight. He picked up the victory in the first of the Virginia Triple Crown events. How about starting things off for his qualifying second on the board right behind Alex McCollum?
And Kuhn, he's going to automatically reset. You talked about those tire temps feeling like they skyrocketed too much. Kuhn immediately recognizing, did my first lap. Let's get back out, get fresh tires, cool them off, and get right back to trying to best that of Alex McCollum. Only that of 21 thousandths of a second off. And doing a little cheeky moves, trying to heat up those tires there, Justin.
I can see a few people taking some notes after seeing this. This is a little bit of a tactic, I will say, from the road side, where you'll run a lap, tow, warm the tires again, run a lap, you're done qualifying. Kuhn seems to be trying that same tempo here, wanting to battle it out with McCollum. And here's the critical thing with this. It will be the difference potentially with the inverted, who starts at the bottom and who starts at the top in the heart of the pack.
Here comes Ryan Kuhn out of the corner, expecting to try to best that time. That's a fast one right there by Ryan Kuhn. We wait for it to be dropped, and the time does. Still second, and not able to advance on that time. Still 21 thousandths off. As here comes the 49 of that of Charles Roth.
I'm curious what he can do here because, first of all, he's the one of one, maybe a 2 who are using the iRacing default paint scheme. Just 6 points on the season so far. But Roth, I think for someone such as himself, needs to keep it clean and get momentum, especially if you're in the LCQ, because you know how crazy that can get. With 10 minutes, 20 laps on the board, you don't have any room for error here, and it's a tough hill to climb right now. 23rd on the board so far.
Yeah, not looking good for Roth to be cracking into the top 16, but a little bit of a slower time. Going to try to best it here. And talking about besting, Dustin Mombercat has best top of the board by 1/1000th of a second over Alex McCollum at 16. He is carrying over that real world speed over, and Roth only able to move up 1 position, 22nd still for the 49.
One of the final drivers on track currently, 22nd on the board. Timothy Holmes. We also have Lee Norden, Justin Brooks, Jacob Hayes yet to set times on the boards themselves yet. Curious if they elect to come out for quali or if they're waiting to see if this track temperature drops a little bit more, because it has gone down a degree, and that can play a strategy role for when they want to run laps as this lap ends.
Yeah, and the driver I'm curious about is we're coming up to our final 3 minutes and 30 seconds as that of Charles Roth only able to move up and going to be in 22nd position is this driver, the 33 of Justin Brooks. We've seen the 33s do well. Brett Suggs, who's not going to be here this evening, top of the board, and point second is Justin Brooks, and Brooks certainly wanting to carry the momentum of the win that he got.
And when you think about how the season's gone, 1 victory, 4 top 5s, 4 top 10s, the speed's been there, the consistency's been there. He's not been afraid to use a lot of bumpers if necessary, if it has come to that. But when it comes to Brooks in general, he's been quick from the get-go. He's a former pro in the NASCAR competition era platforms. His short track specialty is tracks such as this on the platform in of itself. In fact, it's one of the main things he does on the platform currently. And he's taken the same page out of Ryan Kuhn's book to try and battle it out with Mombercat and McCollum, who are within 1/1000th of a second of each other at the top of the board. 1/1000th.
Yeah, and we look at our top, I mean, it's crazy to look at top 8 all within 1/10 of one another. The speed is so close. It can change in an instant, but Justin Brooks, we talked about it. Drivers potentially thinking of the long term for that of the featured event. Top 12 get inverted. Brooks is currently 11th. That would be putting him in that first starting position. Moving him up to that first line. If you want good qualifying for the featured event, that's the way you go.
I was about to say, when I finished the point and looked at the exact position, it's like, that's the play. Because it gets him outside front row. Someone like Josh Cotto's going to be not make it easy. Obviously, yes, he's also very quick in regards to his consistency, but he's got the track position. Monbriquette, McCollum, Kuhn, Curl, English, all very quick drivers in short track racing, do not. So that gives them a big advantage to potentially set the tempo early in the race.
I mean, there's sometimes, we talk about sandbagging and trying to play those mind games. Hey, if you know there's going to be an invert, sometimes you got to play these mind games to set yourself up. As we only got one more driver that's going to try to potentially put a time down. That's going to be Lee Norton, who's going to be hitting the track here in our final minute of this race. As right now, Alex Gratz is going to be the driver on the bubble position for the 9 with a 16.118 is the time. And here comes the last driver to hit the course for qualifying. Less than a minute to go. It's Lee Norton coming out of 4 to start his first lap.
He's got the key maker looking to try and be the key to having a good qualifying run. I believe it's a Matrix reference with the numbers, but either way, the McCollum Central back driver looking very tight, too tight.
Oh, and that's going to rush the wall. He's got to be quick, got to get right back into and take a tow. Has to come to a stop, and this might be too long to even get a lap in. And this isn't going to be having those tires as warmed as they would like to be. And Justin, looks like Norton, he's going to have to just start and bank on the LCQ coming up here in just 15 seconds. And for Norton, that was certainly not the way that he wanted to see his qualifying end. He was waiting for the last moment, but that's the risk you have to take sometimes. Get a little bit too antsy, too aggressive, and you throw away that late chance opportunity.
It appears Justin Brooks took the same thought of trying to bump the time at the last moment, by the way. He hit the wall down the backstretch, so a few drivers really struggling. Tight corner exit for the straightaways, very tight on those exits, but it's time to see how many drivers of those 4 are ready to fight in tight confines in the LCQ.
LCQ going to be 20 laps for these drivers. We're expecting to see that of potentially 11 to 12 going to be racing here tonight. As it's going to be that of the 27 of Roberts going to be getting the pole position in row number 1 for the LCQ. Drew Cox going to be in that of 2nd place for that of the 98. Then we're going to see that of Brad Carpenter going to be in 3rd position in row number 2. With that of Noah Allison going to be in that outside for the 24. Row 3, James Kirby in the 5 with Angel Ortega going to be in the 10 for this row. Row 4 going to be Charles Roth in the 49 with that of Hill going to be in that 0-1 to his outside. Row 5 going to be that of Kyle Storm as well as Timmy Holmes in the 67. And then we've got ourselves a couple of interesting characters back here in row number 6. We got Race Control. They're going to be watching with Jacob Hayes in the 00, as well in last place. The driver that just missed out on putting a lap time down for qualifying. It's Lee Norton, who has to start all the way in the back.
A lot of good drivers in the LCQ was about to say, Sam. Well, indeed. If you're some of the drivers back here, Timmy Holmes in particular, Noah Allenson. Oh boy. This is about to be a scrap amongst some of those drivers, but I'm really curious who makes that bubble because there's a lot of drivers who are decent, but will be having to fight hard to get there.
And it's going to be just a small little picture of potentially a preview of what we could be seeing for our featured event. Again, our featured event, 200 laps, a lot of points to be grabbed. And for the drivers right now, only 9 have gotten on track. Last driver on track is going to be Kyle Storm. Holmes, as well as that of Lee Norton and Hayes, have not gotten on track for the grid. So we wait now until we can get rolling here. But looking at this field right now, Justin, I mean, there are some drivers I'm looking at that look strong. I mean, Drew Cox, expecting him to get in, but only the top 4 of 9 that are going to be rolling here.
And this will be wild, I think, in particular. Big that Timmy Holmes didn't make it to the grid, Lee Norton as well. So those are some of the drivers thought might be in the conversation. As a result, though, with the drivers still on circuit, Kirby, I think he'll find a way to try and pull a Kirby-like move to the inside and try and blow past the competition, past those competition competitors. Ortega has shown some improvement. Keep in mind the Northwest competition, curious in how that crosses over. But the top 4 on the track are some of the best in this grouping. It will be not easy to dethrone any of them from their spots off the grid.
Roberts, Cox, Carpenter, Allison, going to be your front 4. And then we've got Kirby, Ortega, Roth, Hill, Storm, going to be your 9 drivers Going to be starting on this 20-lap LCQ. Only the top 4 move on to our featured event, where a total of 20 drivers will be racing for 200 laps. Well, let's get a little preview on of how we could be seeing our featured event go, as it's time to get our drivers set. And the pace truck is off, and we're green. LCQ Racing here at Langley Speedway, and it's going to be Nana Roberts taking the lead immediately.
As we expected, you want to be on the bottom to settle things out early. That top line, Already's brain, Sparks, Allison scrapes the wall. The race leaders, Cox, trying to ride the back bumper of Roberts to end lap 1.
And we're already going to have 1 lap down, and Robert's going to be there. But the question is, how aggressive do you want to be for these front runners for themselves? Because for our front 2, they can just pull away and feel comfortable and confident. You don't need to really race for the win, but you certainly can get aggressive. These are our other 2 drivers, Carpenter, Allison, and oh no, further back. Going to be seeing drivers having trouble. It's Kirby as well. It's going to be seeing Hill having to slow down.
Well, James Kirby was all over the racetrack from turn 1 to turn 3 entry. In turn 1, his car snapped out a couple times, it looked like, Sam, and then was able to save it from this bubble. A massive save. The rest of the pack had already lost a fair bit. That gave a cushion to Allison. Then it gets worse because he tries to turn it down right across somebody's nose, spins out right at the bottom of the track. One driver did hit the commitment coat, but don't believe triggered a penalty from it. And Kirby goes from potentially battling for the bubble spot to dead last on track outside of Jacob Hayes, who did join the fray 2 laps down.
Yeah, I'm curious on if they're going to be giving the wave around for Hayes or if he's just going to have to wait this one out. Again, missing the grid, Jacob Hayes did, and that is a frustrating time for the 00 that is going to be 3 laps down at this moment. But with that incident, that was Kyle Storm that made contact with James Kirby. And Kirby, I mean, certainly I think if we could settle these drivers down, going to be a driver to watch out for if he can get through this field. But Justin, like we were seeing there, this is kind of a 1-lane course. You've got to use the bumper if you want to get by the driver in front of you.
Yeah, this is a very flat racetrack, to say the least. The banking, 6 degrees. The straightaway's 2 degrees. 3.97 miles here at Langley. Hurricane Law, Langley Speedway should really say. That's been open since 1950. If you want to make moves here, you have to be willing to pull them off the bottom. Sometimes that's about taking their line away. Some drivers may use the apron a little bit to try and get that line. But don't be surprised absolutely to see the bump and run be a prevalent commonplace. A little tap. You don't want the major tap that spins them around in front of the whole field, because then it gets dangerous.
That it really does. I mean, honestly, can throw away a lot of these drivers into trouble. As you see, Hayes going to be getting at least 1 lap back, might be getting multiple laps back if they continue to wave that 00 around. But they've got to be careful waving him around, because the laps do count under pacing. So these drivers are seeing their LCQ chances kind of dwindle away each lap that they let Jacob Hayes go on by, and they are going to let him get back on the lead lap. So Justin, this is killing time for a lot of these drivers that are, forward that of Kirby and Hill and Ortega that are 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Yep.
This is hurting their chances. It's taking too many laps away for my liking if they want to get into our top 4.
Lights on top of the iRacing pace truck, but the reason time can be a factor, not just in the amount of laps you'll have to work with. There is a time limit of 10 minutes on this race. In other words, you get another caution, it might finish with a 1 or 2 lap shootout. You need to keep it clean if you want to be able to get yourself a chance to get there in the first place.
Drivers are set, we're stacked, lights are off. We're about to go green once again at our LCQ to see who's making it into our Hampton Heat 200. Pace truck's out. Top 4 are the only ones that move on to the featured event. And we're already going to be green flag, going to be seeing the 27 of Roberts. Feeling good, but here comes Carpenter to the inside, trying to hold Cox up to the outside.
Side by side down the back straightaway. Carpenter tries to run the bottom, and the independent racing machine has been behind. Allison gets wrecked from the bubble spot. No caution yet. We stay green. Starting lap 10. Big for Allison.
Continue to stay green, and now it's going to be Hill. Talked about that 0-1. Well, I mean, one of the drivers that was really put all the way back in 8th place with that spin on all the action that spun him around. Now it's going to be Hill that's in 4th place, has to hold off Ortega.
And that will be intriguing. That was Charles Roth who had made contact behind him. Hill able to give him some space to come back on the racetrack. Absolutely huge. Hill has Ortega right on his tail, though. 9 to go on the board.
As the laps tick away, you know that the opportunities are going to continue to rise as Ortega's going to want to make the moves right on board with Hill and gain a sense of him catching up to the lap car of Allison, who was originally in the 4th place position, got spun around, no yellow comes out, and now the 24, 1 lap down and hoping for a yellow to potentially come out, but we're seeing this 83 on track, 0-1 on our ticker. Hill holding off that of the 10 on our ticker, the 00 on his car, that of Angel Ortega.
Ortega still waiting for a chance here. We've seen in the past, he's not usually someone who feeds the bump and run. We've seen in Northwest competition, he usually bides his time. And the API base driver looking to settle it out. 6 to go up on the board. 1 minute in terms of time, give or take, coming up.
And if that's based off of time, we could be a lap shy from trying to finish this one out. So drivers have to get rolling quickly and at the same time recognize, got to make this move with at least 3 laps to go. If you're Ortega, and you've got to make sure that if you make the move on Hill, that you are able to get a big enough lead to not worry about Hill trying to retaliate back. Otherwise, trying to make the pass cleanly. But it's Roberts, Cox, Carpenter, and this battle that we're riding on board and watching for the last spot to advance to our featured event. 4 laps to go here at Langley.
And Ortega still on the doorstep. No major slips up from Hill yet. He's been bobbling. Keep in mind, it's been a looser car on entry for the 0-1 in sim, the 83 on track. Just no place for Ortega to go, especially with that damage. 3 to go. He's now trying it harder.
Trying to get a little bit closer, but that was a very aggressive entry. Trying to help with the exit as Hill just makes 1 mistake on the exit, and here we go through 3 and 4. Come to 2 laps to go. It's on. Angel Ortega giving another shove, trying to get to the inside quarter panel, not able to, and they'll resettle for at least 1 more opportunity. 3 chances here, Justin, and Ortega needs to make the move now.
Too tight down the back straightaway, coming up to the white flag. This time around, Ortega clips the apron. Hill slides up. No time from Ortega. 1 more chance for the 10 machine to go for the send. Tries to use the bumper, can't.
Can't use it there. He's got 1 more dive bomb move. He's going to try to set it up. Thought he could overcook that of seeing Hill, but not able to. And it's going to be Hill coming across the line, taking that final spot. Drivers further back, Roth, Allison, going to be slowing down, having issues, but it's going to be that of Colin Roberts as well as Drew Cox, that of Carpenter and Hill, moving on to our featured event.
Well, that will be an intriguing field of drivers at the back of the pack. I'm really curious on what Caleb Hill can do, able to capitalize on the trouble ahead, and able to make himself starter of the shotgun portion of the pack, but plenty of talent to cut through, with Austin Teal getting himself the inversion pole from that top 12 invert, Sam.
Yeah, and these drivers, with that invert, it is going to change everything. The drivers we saw during qualifying, Mombercat and others that qualified up front, they're going to now be starting back in 12th, 11th, and also in 10th. Further in the middle of this pack where it's been the most dangerous all season long. We'll see how well they can do as the drivers currently on track for a 4-minute, technically a 5-minute, but we're down to 4 minutes of warm-up just to let all the drivers that watch the LCQ get themselves back into their rhythm before we get into racing action. And Justin, this is certainly going to be a fun one to watch. We can't wait for it, but we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, it's time to see how each driver is going to be testing here at Langley Speedway for that of the Hampton Heat 200 here for round number 5.
Hey, it's broadcast personality Wesley Outland, and for the 2nd year in a row, the Community Radio Network is excited to also be the voice of iRacing on LSRTV every Monday and Thursday night with the Northwest Racing Series for Cup and Truck. Join yours truly, Justin Prince and Samuel Dyer, every week as they race towards a championship. We're also on the radio in the Triangle in the Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina area at 87.5 WCRN and anywhere worldwide at wearecrn.com. Click play. Check out the coverage, the power of radio to the imagination of the listener, esports style. We are the Community Radio Network, the voice of iRacing on LSR TV. Check it out when you can, and replays are always up too. broadcast personality Wesley Outlet up topside at one of the great racetracks of the world, the Caraway Speedway. And I'd like to remind you to join us every Wednesday afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern to 3 p.m. Eastern with coverage of Finish Line, where we talk to everybody from NASCAR to grassroots, like right here at Caraway Speedway. Carolina's Fox Sports Radio affiliates, iHeartRadio, and on the Community Radio Network at 87.5 FM. And remember, thanks to Live Sim Racing Productions, you can actually see the guest panel, ask their questions, get interactive with us with comments, and so much more in our chat box. Finish Line every Wednesday. Join us every week.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here on LSRTV for that of the Crown Jewel E Late Model Stock Car Series, as the drivers finishing up warm-up time for your less than 2 minutes to go at Langley Speedway for the Hampton Heat 200. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Justin Prince. And then we got LSRTV Studio in the background, giving you all the cameras, graphics, and entertainment here this evening. Justin, we got to see a little bit of that LCQ, got some previews of how hot and heavy things can get with just a 20-lap event. But certainly these drivers, I think we can see a toss-up of what we just saw in the beginning portions of this race, or it can be calmed down. What are you expecting here in just a minute when we get ready for our featured event?
I'm expecting a lot of drivers attempting to make friends by going into the bumpers. What I'm saying is I'm expecting a lot of physicality for tonight, a lot of difficulty for some drivers to maintain the tempo. But the major thing tonight, I'm expecting some of the drivers who start towards the front with the invert positions to really not want to give those up. Justin Brooks is at the top of my list. Austin's at the top of my list, obviously, for the front row. But you also have drivers like Kenny Brady, who will not want to give up spots easy. You have Cameron Ruggles, who doesn't want to give spots easy. You have Peyton Howell, who not want to give up spots easy. There will be a lot of aggression early to set the tempo for the rest of the night, to determine how the track position plays out.
And right now, during the warm-up, Justin Brooks has been the fastest driver on track. Could have been doing a little bit of sandbagging, could have been preparing for these moments, and certainly going to be a driver for us to watch out for. Remember, our top 12, when we go through, it will automatically be inverted. The drivers that technically qualified for that of 12th and 11th going to be getting the pole award to start out this race, and then it cycles all the way back to 12th position. So these drivers going to have a little bit of interesting time on how they're going to be set here and how well do you equate and get through this traffic. It certainly is going to be an interesting one. We got 200 laps to figure out how you want to settle this. We also will be having stage breaks, stage 1 at lap 55, stage 2 at 110. One extra set of tires at pit road, no fast repairs. And it's all time to see how 12 drivers are going to be able to attack here this evening. Austin Teal going to be getting that top position here with the invert, with Justin Brooks to his outside for row number 1. Row 2 going to be that of Gelmo Fortin, going to be in that 25, with that of Kevin Brady going to be to his outside for the 54. Row 3 is going to be that of Steele Langford, as well as Cameron Ruggles going to be in the 52 for row 3. Payne Howell going to be in that of row 4, with that of English going to be to his outside. Row 5 for these drivers going to be James Curl and Ryan Kuhn for the 72.
Behind them, these the final drivers for the invert, the top qualifiers. Alex McCall inside. Row 6 outside is Dustin Monburkett. He is one of the top drivers in wins this season. Josh Cotto is the first driver outside the invert spots, who will be starting alongside the Canadian driver, Wally Wilson. Bradley Wilson, not related, starts in 15th tonight in the Shedadone Shine Machine, with Alex Brett starts in 16th in the RKM Machine. Cohen Roberts starts on behind from the LCQ alongside Drew Cox, row 9. Then it's Brad Carpenter and Caleb Hill, also known as Caleb W. Hill, not related to the admin Hill, who starts shotgun.
Those are your 20 drivers set and ready to go. Josh Cottle missing out on the starting grid here potentially, as he'll be seeing how 13 can get out on track. Rest of the field, though, they are set and ready to go here at Langley. And talked about how flat this track is, talked about bumps and runs, saw the drivers having their issues. Well, let's take one more look at the weather. We saw what it was like during practice, during qualifying for this racing event. Still starting to cool off, same as the ambient temperature, both down 1 degree from where we saw during the start of qualifying. Drivers seeing the lights going down. I mean, we've seen the sun going down, the lights popping up, and we're expecting the sparks to fly here at Langley Speedway. The Hampton Heat 200. Better be ready, because it's going to be a scorcher here this evening. We've seen big wrecks, we've seen great finishes, and we'll see what Langley can give us as we are green for 200 laps this evening.
And a good launch from the 09 to the bottom of the racetrack. Able to clear him by Austin Teal, the former Flat Rock champion, at his facility in Michigan. Justin Brooks moves to second quickly. A lot of bumping in the heart of the pack, though. Mombercat bumps around Peyton Howell, nearly turns himself in the heart of the field.
And this is where we get to see that invert really change things up. You got drivers that are going to be extremely quick, and we're battling and so impressed on the speed that they had. They got to be careful here. Here's going to be Powell, English going to be side by side, and also going to be Ruggles involved in this one. Drivers trying to take every position possible, as up front certainly is going to be something to watch out for. But this middle of the pack, Justin, it's a madhouse. You're scrapping for every position, and oh no, dropping backwards. There goes Mombercat moving forward.
That is Kenny Brady, who nearly went into the fence, pushing too hard off of turn 2. And that's the type of thing we've seen in qualifying, Sam, a couple times. Drivers trying to power it down to the exit, going too flat-footed and too hard on the gas, slamming hard into the straightaway wall.
Now you got to see how these drivers can get into that rhythm with one another, but as well, going to be seeing different ways you want to attest. Again, only one extra set of tires in pit road. You can only pit for tires at our stage breaks of either stage 1 or 2 as Howell gets close to that outside wall.
Peyton Howell really struggling in tonight, and with that paint scheme that had a lot of work put into it, it's slipping back and slipping fast, nearly bumping and squeezing. In fact, that's for 14th. Dropping him to 14. Now it's the battle to hold on to it. James Curl says thank you.
James Curl, certainly a driver that we've seen this season perform well, and he's climbed through the field multiple times throughout this season. But the driver that's really on the move and has been great, just making easy pass after easy pass, Justin Mombercat, Ryan Kuhn, just working with one another through this field. And now Mombercat up to 5th place. He's up 7 positions, our biggest mover so far this evening.
Mombercat has been very fast and very efficient in his passes, keep in mind, and this is not a surprise. One of the top drivers in terms of building setup, but also in terms of speed. A little bit of a kick of the brake to try and set up a diamond line underneath Steele Langford. Now to build up the run. All while Ryan Kuhn, he's up 4 as well, trying to keep up with his competitor up in the head of the pack. Keep in mind, Kuhn, the leader for the Triple Crown for the Virginia-based races.
Riding on board with this 16 of Mombercat, seeing in front of him, this is Steele Langford, and Langford trying to set up and easily can see these drivers. If any mistake happens for our leader, it could accordion effect all the way through this field. With it being a 1-lane course, drivers going to try everything they can. And Justin, that's right on board with Mombercat. I mean, what are the different aspects you could try to make potentially set up a pass on the exit of these corners?
Well, you've seen one of them right there. Try and go for double apex. Go tighter on the entry on the bottom of the track, lift up about a quarter to half a lane, diamond it back off the corner, set up that double apex mark for the exit of turn 2. Problem is, Mombercat's been clipping the apron, that's been holding him up. As well, you have the option in turn to try the top groups, try the middle or high line. Obviously, that's not easy to do, though. With it being such a flat track, that line might not be prevalent for at least a long while, and how long the runs can go could determine if there's an eventual squeeze line that comes in, possibly. And the third way you can set that up, you can just send it in and lick the stamp. It usually doesn't lead to staying on the table, though.
I feel like that's the majority of the field's favorite, way to go. It's just look in, send in. Right now, seeing that accordion effect of drivers up front trying to move, they back off, and it just stacks everyone behind them. Got to be loving the aerial coverage by that, presented by LSRTV Studios. And here's the setup. A little bit of a mistake there, as Fortin's going to be pushed up to the higher lane, and that's not where you want to be. And especially with this train that we have, Fortin's got to get inside and get to the bottom lane as fast as possible, but he's just stuck the train too jam-packed. He's going backwards.
Yeah, Guillaume Fortin not able to find any space in the line, and that's the problem with the top groove and why there's that difficulty if it will even come in. You know for a fact, based on this circuit, the best way around, paint that yellow line, and eventually you do what you just did. Back off, say, okay, I'm just going to go and jump into the nearest hole, settle on in. He did that in 9th.
And, we're going to be seeing these drivers 10th place. A little bit of a hold-up is going to be that of Gratz, who's going to be just trying his best to hold on to this front group. But our top 9 doing a great job moving forward. And for this Wilson, as well as going to be James Curl. I think Curl is the one driver that I'm watching right now in 12th place. This is going to be frustrating for the 26 that we know can be a front runner who qualified inside of our top 10. Certainly, he's hoping to get by of that of Wilson and Gratz, but he's just continuing to lose ground. Is his 26?
It's all right, Motorsports Machine, just nowhere to really take the momentum so far. That's the tough thing if you end up liking to use the bumper or have a lot of emotion in some cases on that. When you hit the track, you have to pay the consequences as Wilson gets turned for hitting the wall.
And now they're going to be holding on. What a save, though. We easily could have seen both those drivers get spun around. Hold on, get going, and here we go. Wilson, and also going to be seeing that of Curl. They're going to reset, try once again. And, I mean, watching this group right now, Justin, also keeping my eye on the tire wear. These drivers already have dropped off by that of 2/10 based off their fastest laps of the night. I've been thinking about some drivers thinking about taking that set once we get to our stage 1 on lap 55. But I would imagine most of these drivers hoping to save that set for our second stage break at lap 110. But you never know how tires also can be influencing this.
Yeah, and it really shows the difference between a good driver, a great driver, and an elite driver in terms of you can have the greatest speed possible on the short run, right? You can run about a tenth, maybe a full half a second in some cases, quicker than the rest of the pack for about 10-15 laps. Then about lap 25 is when the tire fall hits and they drop off like a rock. Those are the good on short run, not so much a long run. McCollum just got shuffled out of the line, by the way, to 9th place. Then there's the great, who are able to manage that short run pace to be good on the short run, but also good on long run. The best of the best are those who are able to capitalize no matter the run. But the battle for the lead is on. Brooks has the point.
And Brooks, just like that, going to be pushing up Teal to the outer lane, and now he'll be stuck in this lane and train. That 09 needs to get in line quickly. Otherwise, he's going to go from that of first place, potentially all the way back to 9th, or even further back than that if he can't get in the groove. And he's struggling to find it, trying to pressure Monbercat. Will not be able to do that. But Justin, as that pass for the lead was going on, that of Roberts had a giant spin. Luckily, there was no other oncoming traffic. We stay green, even though the 26 is now completely off the pace of everyone else.
I was about to bring that up as well. Notice that at the edge of my eye. That was with contact with Peyton Howell. We stay green again, however, because he was at the back of the pack by the time he was the full way around. Not able to get a little bit up. But the top thing when it comes to 09, no place to go in the line. And he's not following the same method as Fortian. He's hit the wall. A drift for the 09. Ruggles takes advantage to dive underneath. Ruggles up to 6th. Fortian, who gives him some space, able to help him settle down and stop the bleeding in 7th.
Luckily, he found that opening. I thought for a second he's going to be shoved out of the corner again, which potentially could happen. I mean, he's the same driver in front. With Teal losing all this ground, now is the question mark of how much rubber did he really hurt himself by being on that outside lane, challenging and battling as hard as he did. Is that going to be making this tire wear even worse for the 09? But luckily, found the opening, and now you just have to be patient and wait and don't make your mistake as we're coming up to our final 20 laps here shortly of stage number 1. Let's hear some battling that's going on further back for these drivers. That was a pass made for 14th position.
That's the recovery building up for how we seen how rough the short run was. And I mean absolutely rough for Peyton Howell was right from the opening lap, turn 3. Been able to settle it on down. Just say that starts to drift it out. But as you see, Fortian has lost the bottom again. And now he's getting swamped by red and orange cars.
Got pushed from 8th and now back to 11th, just showing one mistake or getting punted out of the way. Such a great loss, and it takes anywhere from 10 to 15 laps to even try to rebound at least one position, and in a blink of an eye you can lose all that ground and more as these drivers are setting up, watching this constant movement forward. Got to give credit to the 26 and James Curl. He's now on the back bumper of the 9 and at least is gained one position because of being moved forward. But Justin, this group, I mean, just showing this is going to be a long race for some of these drivers that make an early mistake and lose so many positions here in just the first 35 laps. What do you see?
And that was Fortian, who is based from Quebec, getting a bump after a slide at the bottom of the track. His fellow Canadian, Wally Wilson, from up north in the province of Ontario, zipping on by. A lot of commitment as a sim racer, racing multiple different types of cars, all while Drew Cox, he's parked his car to the pit lane.
Yeah, Drew Cox was battling back in 17th place, went back, saw that he got loose at a turn, 4 issues for the 98, and our driver that moved on from the LCQ just took the tow to pit road. He's going to be at least 3 to 4 laps down before he can start moving again, and if he even wants to get moving again, this could be a race-ending incident for himself, or at least unless other drivers get required damage or are completely wrecked out of this race.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to get yourself to where you're on the struggle bus from the get-go. It seemed Drew Cox a couple times was loose, I noticed at the start. And that's the thing. You have those major bobbles early, you lose that tire wear for the rest of your respective run with that set and puts you behind the 8 ball. Where some drivers have mentioned in the past, it takes about a half a lap to recover those tire temps, or else you will lose the tires for the rest of the run. That's why we see some drivers who have a major slide early or have a major lockup. They usually fade by about the midpoint of the run because that's where they usually pay for that the most. As you see, Kenny Brady looking to watch as Kuhn and Monbriquet swamp Brooks and Langford for the top spots.
They're trying to catch up and, do their best, but right now I'm watching from my point of view, it's looking like Dustin Monbriquet really struggling on the exit of these corners, and Ryan Kuhn could be setting up here coming to the end of this stage to try to make a pass for this 3rd place position, but Monbriquet's got to be careful. He is really struggling in the center up, but he certainly is doing his best efforts to hold off that 72.
Was about to say, when it comes to this too, keep in mind, who starts at the bottom in row 2 in this position? 3rd place, Monbriquet, and is in a good spot to take 2nd on the restart at the end of the stage. Ryan Kuhn, he might get freight trained if he starts in 4th position. Hence why he's keeping the pressure up, and hence why Kenny Brady wants to try and see things shuffle so he can have a chance to possibly jump up a couple rows amongst this fight. Coming up to the start of lap 45 for them, Monbriquet still parking the bus in the fight.
11 laps to go in this stage. Again, lap 55 is at our stage break, an opportunity for drivers coming to pit road and use their 1 extra set of tires in pit road. You either use that set at stage 1 or at stage 2. Those are your only opportunities to get at those and use that set of tires. If you use it at any other point, could be penalized at the end of the race. But that of Justin Brooks, confident up front. Langford's trying to keep up, but Justin, as we're coming now down to the ends of our stage 1, I got big credit Justin Brooks. That sandbag at the start, it really has put the 33 in a great position to hold off the rest of this field.
Yeah, he kind of joked, oh, I need to steal a little bit more from a competitor's house. Oh, I left the shoe behind the gas pedal and only got 90% throttle. Yeah. Well, you don't initially go into qualifying and think, okay, I'm going to aim for 12 because, well, that's not easy to do compared to going full out, to be quite frank. But the main thing is, I think that kind of motivated that in part, how he turned out the first time around, then hitting the wall the second time around really basically put him in the spot of, okay, I can go for the track position game, and it's worked out strong for Brooks.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Brooks, qualifying's been his weakest part of his whole entire session here tonight. He was 2nd fastest during practice. Then during qualifying, he qualified that of 11th, got inverted, and placed him in that of 2nd for the start of this race. But then during the warm-ups, it was Justin Brooks who was the fastest car that was getting as the track was cooling off. So this 33 has been looking fast, but it's been a 33 show, I think, all season long here. Points-wise, if we had that Brett Suggs racing here tonight, would have been another 33 on track. As Langford, he's in 2nd place, just lingering and waiting. He's hoping that it could be the next 33 to make it into victory lane.
And that's the impressive thing about Langford here, too. We haven't talked much about him. He's been quietly just running up with Brooks, trying to keep the pressure onto the back bumper, and that has been efficient for Langford. He's been able to take advantage of some of the drivers shuffling. Keep in mind, though, a decision for the leaders. Lap traffic. Colin Roberts in front of the leaders, checking him up.
He's checking him up, but right now, again, we're coming up to those last 2 laps. how hard does that of Roberts really want to challenge to stay in front of that of Brooks? And it seems like he wants to stay up front, doesn't want to even give up position. And this could be given an opportunity for Langford if he decides to try to make this pass, because he wants that first place position so he can have the best choosing opportunity as we're coming up to lap 55. There's the bump. Langford, he's doing his best to try to get that lead position. Not close enough that go around. He's going to reset and try another opportunity. He's really he's touching the apron on the back bumper as they're going to be seeing Brooks try to get to the inside. Finally does. And now Langford, he has to make the bump into Roberts. Side by side, Conan turn number 4 for the lead of the stage break. We wait for the yellow, and I think it could have been Langford.
I think it was Brooks by 3/100ths of a second. I'm shocked that Brooks sent it that hard underneath the lap traffic. I understand the reasoning to try and put an opportunity aside for Langford to send it. Both of them not happy we've seen with the bumpers being traded for that drag race with the lap car.
I mean, the bumpers were hit. There was a lot of shoving going on to the straightaway across the line, but it was the aftermath coming out of turn. I'm going into turn number 1. Also, there was a retaliation hit that was made. Justin Brooks in that lead position for now, but Justin, we see it on screen. There's a lot of bumping on that 33 machine side. I mean, for that of Justin Brooks. For if you look at Langford, though, all the way around, not too damaged for that 33 machine in second.
It looks like Colin Roberts amongst those getting the damage checked out a little bit amongst this as well. But man, you talk about not wanting to let an opportunity open up. That was one of the picture cases right there. Just our first caution in general of the entire race. It's been very tame. Well, until the last lap.
Yeah, got to see a couple of, get those elbows out, push them around, as we see another driver potentially going to be calling it a night. The 25 of Gil Fortune going to be coming into pit road and could be calling it. Also into pit road, going to be getting some service done. Going to be Peyton Howell, who had been getting into the wall a couple of times. I was surprised to see that 52 into pit road. He'll come right back in. I think he's trying to get some damage repaired for the 52 machine. Potentially could be thinking about tires here, Justin. I mean, in my opinion, I think it'll be a little bit too early, but this is your first opportunity if you'd like to use your one and only set in pit road.
And keep in mind, they're only allowed to use the set during the stage breaks, hence why we see everyone staying out here outside of one driver who is still running in Howell. This is a major gamble for the 052, even with the amount of time, 12 seconds. Even if you take 2 tires here, Sam, that is a massive, massive difference here for the restart. And for the rest of the race in general, to try and make things work here. It's a big track position game later on. Not going to be easy to hold it.
It really isn't. As we're now past our first quarter of this race, it was pretty calm until we got to the end of stage 1. Justin Brooks and Steele Langford got contact with one another. Dustin Marquardt's going to be in 3rd place with Kuhn, a McCullum, that of Brady, Ruggles, Teal, Curl, and Wally Wilson. Going to be your top 10 drivers getting ready to set and ready to choose. And here we go. They're already stacking up. And right now, going to be seeing Justin, an interesting call. Kuhn going to be taking the outside, going track position, while going to be seeing that of Langford deciding to just take that inside line, preferring that aspect. A lot of drivers going with track position on the outside. Lots of gutsy calls, and we'll see, can Justin Brooks hold off, or can we see Ryan Kuhn with a good launch? Already going to be taken off as Brooks as stage 2 begins, and already a pass, Kuhn for 2nd.
Worked perfectly for Kuhn, but not so much for everybody else. McCollum needs to find a way to squish Langford. Not going to be easy. Langford's on his corner panel. Side by side down the front stretch. The 33 to the inside. The 8 still on the outside. Trying to keep the pinching up with a hard fight.
Right now, McCullum has to make this pass work, because if he doesn't, he's going to have Dustin Marquardt still holding him off. And there's a line and a train of drivers that want to see this thing go backwards. And oh boy, those elbows are still out. Marquardt, McCullum, a little bit of brushing through 3 and 4.
And it's really not working out for McCollum now. Nearly put into the wall, trying to fight it out with Marquardt. Now alongside Kenny Brady. Wally Wilson looks to use his umbrella to find his way to Parasail past the 8. Instead, the 8 nearly bumps Kenny Brady out of the way. Wilson bumps him out of the way nearly with the save.
And these drivers, they're just getting the hands out. It is go time. They're recognizing this is your best opportunity to try to make a pass if you're going to want to do it. Driver trying the apron out further back in 9th place. That's going to be Teal trying to get by the 52 as these drivers up front. Watch out for Alex McCullum. He might try to get himself a little bit of a move here, but it's going to be seen that Ruggles stuck to the outside, and that's because of the bold move by Teal to go to the apron into turn 3 2 laps ago.
Ruggles is not in a good spot either right now, trying to take away that bottom groove in any way he can, running below the dotted markers. Not working though, because English is there. Alex Grants is there. Wilson almost there. Ruggles is in trouble. Ruggles nearly spins it into his RKM teammate.
These drivers got to be careful, especially on the path that you're this far back. Don't want to just throw your car away. You're hoping that the drivers up front of you are going to get, at some point, bump each other out of this race, potentially wreck each other with the bumps and runs. But if you're this far back, got to be patient. We're not even at halfway. You got to just hope that the driver in front of you makes the ultimate mistake so you just gain these positions easily.
Ruggles trying to go deeper on the brakes, but all of this as well, the driver they are lined with, Ryan Kuhn, he is hounding the back bumper of Justin Brooks. 130 to go in the race overall, and Kuhn is not backing down. In fact, he's been matching the pace as the race leader. Kuhn still can't find a way to get around the 33 yet. Brooks parks it again off turn 1 and 2. Kuhn tries to go lower, can't close it.
Well, if you do it based off of qualifying, it was Ryan Kuhn that was the third fastest in that aspect. Not surprised that he's going to be quick and just as fast as Justin Brooks. Ryan Kuhn trying to go for his second win this season, and it certainly would be a great feat to see, as he was the driver that won the Virginia Crown Jewel event. He's trying to go for 2 for 3 potentially here for these events in Virginia. And for Ryan Kuhn, Justin, this driver we've seen, he's willing to get aggressive, but it's more so the strategy calls that got him the win last race that he won.
And that's big when it comes to the Triple Crown side, as we've talked about a couple times, because guess who is second in those point standings? The race leader. How funny that works out. These two know that complexion of the fight is absolutely on. And keep in mind, for Ryan Kuhn in the overall championship, he's out of that picture, to be quite frank, in 27th in points entering tonight. It's all about the Triple Crown.
Yeah, and that's really where we've seen Ryan Kuhn thrive and get his win. That one and only win was at the other Virginia Triple Crown event, and so he's trying to figure out, how do I just win this Triple Crown event? And right now, in a great positioning. But the driver I'm curious about, this first stage certainly gave a lot of information. The drivers are still on that same set of tires, but just that first stage certainly can give some drivers a little bit of inclination of, how aggressive do I want to be, or do I just need to be patient here for the end of this stage, which is going to be at that of lap 110?
I think it's a mixture of both, because you want to be there by the end of stage 2, obviously, to be able to get the fresh rubber. But right now, a lot of drivers in turn are having a lot of struggles holding on. Momberket in particular, I've noticed. We've seen has struggles at the end of the last stage. It's gotten worse for the 16 car. We can head back to the MSS spot machine. He is drifting on a lot of these corner exits right now compared to a more stable corner exit we're seeing for the top 5. So drivers like Momberkin and a few others really struggling to keep the power down and struggling to keep the car sticking around the track. You see it right there, Momberket really yawed out. Another bobble from James Curl behind him as well.
Yeah, we were starting to see that a lot at the end of stage 1, where Momberket was really struggling just to get back into the throttle and get moving. And like you know, Don, he's now drifting out of the corner. He's trying to get back into the throttle, but those rear tires, they're lit up. He's struggling to find any type of grip, even though this track is at the coolest that it's been all throughout practice, qualifying, the LCQ, warm-up, and even for the race. We are starting to see this 16. He needs fresh rubber badly, but he's not going to get it for another 30 laps.
Wally Wilson really being patient after having to feed him a bit of the bumper with the close call before. How long does that patience last is the major thing.
Oh, there goes the 09. Teal spins around on the front stretch. We stay green. But Teal, he has to finally get rolling. That's a terrible entry to turn 1 and losing over that of 5, almost 10 positions. That of 8 positions for himself.
It looked like maybe when it comes to that 09, it was initially a bobble coming around turn 4 exit. Trying to stick the bottom. Curl with the help, and there they go again with more contact. That is Hill getting bumped out of the groove.
Oh, and he gets
fed the
four
door.
hands. I mean, Teal right now, he's just a battering ram. He is just doing everything he can just to keep the position he's in. And these drivers, we've seen at every single race this season, somebody's been retaliating with an intentional wreck.
Well, there it
and
is.
Teal's got to be careful.
Well, there it is again.
There's only so much you can do right there, and you got to be feeling bad for Hill. There's just nothing he can do. Tried his best on the outside, but Teal just continued to drift up with that loose sensation. And now, how is Peyton Howell going to get by this of the 0-9? Because they could be finding themselves getting wrecked again if Teal gets it. He does. The bump is given, and around goes the 0-9, and there's no oncoming traffic except for one other driver, and the admins throw the yellow.
Well, the race leaders are right there as well, hence the thrown caution. First non-stage yellow of the night for this feature. And whoa, oh boy, was that busy.
Oh.
No, he gets hit by Howell as he comes across the track.
And it makes sense because he's probably frustrated about this. Gets spun around, but at the same time, Justin, this was a 5-6 lap just meltdown of seeing Teal just trying to hold on to the 0-9 and then finally spun around. And then the aftermath that we saw just before we started this interview, went back on this replay, sees his target, and it's time to get rolling.
Well, let's just say there's a way to make it look accidental in some cases. But I think there was some influence absolutely with the timing, to point out with Howell right there. Not the most timing, but you can see, I'm not sure why he put Hill in the wall there in the first place.
Well, Hill first got him loose, and it was getting him pushed up, and then Hill decided to go on the outside instead of trying to crank it down, get to the inside. Sides the outside, then gets put up into the wall. It kind of was just a mixed bag there, and then see here of Hal just gives the bumper and says, you know, I don't want to play these games anymore. Let's get rolling.
Yeah, that was a lot of emotions coming out at the same time throughout the pack. Here's the thing I've noticed, though. Hill took a set during this pit stop. I don't know if he was allowed to do that, though.
No, you are not allowed to. You can, but the penalty is you will be given an EOL at the end of the race. So that penalty is going to carry over, and also going to have Peyton Howell going to be coming into pit road to get at least some damage repair done for the 52, as he's been doing for this whole entire race every single time that he's had a chance to come into pit road.
Well, the reason for Howell, keep in mind, he did pick up the damage there. He didn't use the set, however, so he is good. But the fight for the lead, it's going to get a lot more interesting. The choose is coming up this time. Kuhn, it worked out really well for him last time. We'll see how everyone else chooses that.
I mean, if anything, Kuhn saw that it's better to take the outside if you're going to be that second place driver, and you can get a good launch over second place. You're in a good spot, but a little bit of mind games being played. It's going to be Langford who's going to get that outside lane.
Yeah, this will be really intriguing. There was some contact before the choose cone between Hill and Carpenter. But as these leaders get ready to fight, Brooks inside, Langford outside, then Kuhn shows bottom, Brady shows top. Green flag is out. Langford is swamped. He can't get to the bottom.
He tried to do the same play and ploy that we saw Ryan Kuhn do at the start of stage 2, and just it didn't work out for Langford, and now he's in even bigger trouble. Instead of trying to hold on for third, here comes Alex McCullum and others. They're stacked up side by side in that outside wall. A little bit of a shimmy there for Brady, but it holds off for the 54.
McCollum pushes up Langford. 3 wide as Brady goes in the middle. That nearly doesn't work.
No.
It really doesn't nearly work. Everyone saves it. Langford tries the middle of the racetrack still. English now next man up to dive it inside.
I don't know how Brady has been holding on for these past 3 laps. He got loose out of turn 4, then gets the bump from English and continues to ride on at 54. But the driver that's losing the worst, Langford, who at one point was up front feeling good in second, now all the way back to 7th and could lose more.
And that is what happens when you don't get that line to work from the outside of the choose. Langford all the way to the Hornet's Nest. Ruggles gets shuffled out of the way by Marquette. They have a drifting battle for 11th. Now for the crossover, Ruggles feeds the fender from Marquette as he saves it as well. My goodness, everyone with the drift.
Here comes that crossover move, though, and it's going to be Marquette getting back into the throttle. He'll be to the inside, and Ruggles, who's seen that outer lane and seen the strength of the drivers that can hold that yellow line, just has to fall, move back, and reset, as Teal's going to be now closing in on that group. And this is when those drivers got to be careful for themselves, because you don't want to just throw this away. You've already lost all this ground from having to go to the outer lane on that last restart. Now just reset, get those fresh tires at the stage break. Don't ruin your race from here on out. There's still plenty of racing to go on. There'll be 90 laps to go once we get to that at stage 2 being done, which is at lap 110. For our drivers, and up front, though, it's Justin Brooks, that Ryan Kuhn, and Alex McCullum now going to be your front 3 as they're on top of one another.
Kuhn's looking for his chance to do the dance, to try and shuffle Brooks out of the way. McCullum right there as well. We've seen how close McCullum's been to victory several times this season, including in the opening rounds of the season. He's not been able to find victory lane yet. Right on the doorstep, still waiting in the wings. Kuhn keeps it stuck to the yellow line. Nowhere to go for them yet. 10 to go this stage.
But Justin, 10 to go, and the last 10 laps of stage 1 got hectic. How aggressive do you want to be if you're Ryan Kuhn? We've already seen the fact that he was able to hold off for that second place in the driver that was on the outside on that last restart, but you know you want to prefer to be the leader going into the end stages of this race. When is the go time, Justin, and when do you think Ryan Kuhn or will Alex McCullum make that move first?
The go time, about 3 to go in the stage. At this point, we've seen that's when the intensity really kicked up amongst this pack before. These 3 drivers continue to run away from the pack. Wilson is in the popcorn seat behind, about nearly a second back, and there are 7/10 to English, who has technical issues behind them. You just need to keep it smart to be in position. Keep in mind, over the radio, Brooks thought the stage ended at lap 100, Sam. Oh boy, would that have been big if he let off the gas after the 100 laps were done.
And that's why you don't let off until you see that yellow flag. You continue to roll like you would never expect the yellow to fly. Kind of gives the drivers a little bit of anxiety of how they felt last week when there was no stage break yellows thrown. A little bit of a mistake thrown there by race control, but I think the drivers after last week recognizing, hey, you never know if you're going to get that stage break yellow. You have to continue to race on.
Exactly. With 5 laps to go in this stage, Brooks cannot afford to back it down, cannot afford to give too much chances for Kuhn to just say, I'm going to dive it in. I've got the bottom, because the second Brooks loses the bottom, the second he loses the lead in this race. Everyone hitting the wall down the front straightaway. McCollum close to them both. Straight, it's Kuhn's back bumper out.
And right now, for the battle for second, Alex McCullum, he's been setting up these last 3 laps, seeing how close can he get on the entry of these corners. And he's really putting the pressure on Kuhn. Make the pass. Do it now. And you're seeing that back bumper of the 72. It's a little crinkled in the center there, Justin. That bump by Alex McCullum, it's starting to really rattle the cage at the 72.
That crinkle was there before. It's gotten a little bigger since then. 2 to go in the stage. All the drivers getting close to the wall again. Kuhn is trying to higher arc, trying to use the diamond line. No traffic close enough to be a factor outside of Peyton Howell, who's on 2-tire strategy. 2 laps to decide it. Who's got it?
Here we go. This is the last lap of stage number 2, and you want that lead position. And Ryan Kuhn's gonna have one more chance, one more opportunity, but he's a little bit too far back for my liking. He's really gonna dive bomb it in there if he wants a shot. But Justin Brooks gets out of the corner cleanly, and he's good. Gonna be getting across the line. Stage 2 goes to Justin Brooks, and this 33, he survived the onslaught of stage 1. A little bit more calm there at stage 2. And Justin, this is when the mind games begin. Do you take 4 tires or do you take 2 on this pit stop?
I think you take the 4, to be quite frank. This is the last chance you get to take the tires at all, Sam. So in our words, you have to take them now. If you don't, yeah, it's not going to be fun the rest of the way.
But you never know. Some of these drivers further back, they could be thinking track position over the freshness of those tires. You never know who's going to be trying these mind games, especially for those that are 10th or further back. We only have 2 DNFs so far. That's going to be Fortin as well as that of Drew Cox. It's going to be those 2 drivers. It's going to be that of Hill, that of Caleb Hill back in 17th. 1 lap down, but here we go. Pit stops underway.
We already know Peyton Howell will be trying something different. How about not coming in at all? Howell is staying out. Everybody else is in. Who tries a different strat? Wally Wilson, 1 second pit stop. Something's up with the 69 stop. Hill stays out. Carpenter's now staying out, missing the box. Kuhn, the first one off.
I think it might have been decisions of track position over anything else. A lot of drivers just coming in quickly. Carpenter is going to be coming back into pit road for himself. Caleb Hill, though, remember, took tires during the middle of stage 2, which is not legal. He will be penalized if he's up front, but that's another driver that's going to be up front. And if he's not given an EOL to put him to the end of the line now, Justin, that's a driver that could be causing a lot of issues for our front runners if he is going to be challenging as hard as he is to keep this 3rd place position.
I'm surprised only Justin Brooks, James Curl, Kenny Brady, Sean English took 4 tires. But I think it's even more stunning. Wilson really just went to his stall, stopped for a second, drove off and away. No repairs, no nothing. He just decided, you know what, I just feel like going in and out of the box. That is the intriguing call of the race here, where he'd be basically now in the call of parking the bus the rest of the way, depending on how Howell does here.
And also want to give note, did call it, Caleb Hill was wondering if race control was going to give him an EOL because of the fact that he already took in tires and would have been taking track position. He has been given an EOL. He'll be going to the end of the line for that 0-2. Here we go. Drivers picking and choosing where they want to be, and a lot of drivers saying, I want to be on that inside lane for myself. Peyton Howell, this is going to be an interesting call for himself. Wally Wilson going to be on the outside, and Justin, both these drivers are sitting ducks on this restart.
McCollum and Kuhn, they will have to be patient here if they want to get this done right. But knowing them, the second anyone opens up the door, they're going for it. McCollum cannot afford to lose ground up the top.
There's no more waiting. It's all on. Stages are done. It's about who's going to win here at Langley for the Hatton Heat 200. And the 2 drivers up front going to be on all their tires and the rest of the field. And right now, Alex McCollum, he is willing his way, pushing that of Wally Wilson. And there we go, still side by side at turn number 4. And it's going to be Hal taking the lead for now, as they're still side by side for second on back.
Oh, and Wilson gets set for a ride. McCollum gives an air bump. Wilson continues to slide back. McCollum nowhere to go. He tries to push Ruggles out of the way. Wilson another drift. A 4-wheel drift to the corner. Saves it again.
How in the world he completely drifted the whole entire corner, emptied off the wall, and still running. It's going to be that of Wally Wilson, but he's back to 12th. He's got English to his inside, and we're seeing a lot of good saves here, Justin. That's incredible, but going to be a caution thrown.
And it's at the back of the field. Hill, Carpenter, and Austin Teal getting involved in some bumper cars at the back of the lead pack. Right at the tail end, the 09 getting a big shunt from Caleb Hill, who turned 2 on the diamond.
To the inside, gives the contact. That's after all these drivers just backed off because of seeing Wally and little bit of finish off, and that was what's going to bring out our yellow here. Second on track incident to bring out a yellow, and now we get to reset and try it again.
Mandatory repairs, though, for Teal and Hill as a result of those bumps. Hayden Howell just lucky enough to hold on to the point here. This is not going to be easy for him to hold on to with Kuhn to his outside. He made it clear that he wanted to wait for Barney to throw the green with that timing right there.
But, I mean, this is going to be an interesting call for, I think, Steele Langford. I mean, does Ryan Kuhn even want to test that outside lane? Or does he continue to follow in line? And then if Kuhn doesn't come in, it's everyone else behind. Who wants to risk that outside on the choose? As we already know where at least our leader's going to go. He's going to be on the inside feeling comfortable and confident. But the mind games, they are certainly been chosen all throughout this night. And now it's time for the drivers to make their choose and choice. Could be the last restart, so this is going to be important for these drivers, but just at the same time, we could see plenty of these from here on out.
I don't think this will be the last one. I think we see at least one or two after this at the most. Just based on the trends and the fact that this has been some of the best car control I've seen in this entire series, let alone from these drivers at all, to be quite frank.
Yeah, I mean...
you don't expect several four-wheel drifts throughout the corners leading to saves.
I mean, drifting from the beginning of the corner all the way through and keeping it off the wall and off of everyone else. I mean, that is incredible, to say the least. And, I mean, for Wally Wilson, who kind of think at this point wishes that he didn't just come in for 1 second for his pit stop, maybe have had those tires, would have been very nice for the 69. As here we go, taking the gutsy call. It's going to be that of the 9 of Alex Gratz, who's going to be on the outside, taking his chances to try to get in front of Ryan Kuhn.
Oh, and there's a disagreement on where someone was on the shoes. Curl claims he was on the bottom, but he was in the middle. Mombercat is not letting him have the bottom at the back of this group. How will this play out?
Well, they got to get in line quick because we're getting ready to go green as they're going to be on top of one another. Green flags in the air. Paynell is going to be gone. Gratz is not able to get down to the inside, and it's going to be that Raccoon holding off for now, but out of turn number 2, Gratz gets a good launch, but blocking both lanes is going to be Hal.
Now it's right there to try and get the run on the outside. Couldn't time it up. Kuhn now tries to do it from the inside. Howell tries to play the lanes. Ruggles right there. Langford avoids a bump from McCollum. Behind them, Justin Brooks on the 4 freshies, using the apron, has peeled his way up to 7th already in the first side-by-side.
And Ruggles, I wouldn't be surprised if he gives a bump to this 9. He's been aggressive on those moves, but here comes that of Justin Brooks. Going to be right on that 52, and oh, there's more contact further back.
Colin Roberts again sent for a ride with the bumps, and another driver saves it. Hill done for the night. He had mandatory repairs, cannot continue. Meanwhile, up in the lead, Kuhn has taken the point as we showed that. Second is on.
Seconds on, and Gratz able to get to the inside of the 52, and Al, he's done his best. He's going to be bumping and just trying to pinch his way to hold off for any positioning, and it's just not good enough. Gratz is able to get on by, and here comes Ruggles and Langford, but the driver that I think is in everyone's mind, how is Justin Brooks going to attest with this passing? He's only up to 7, and honestly, for that of Brooks, he's got to be careful. He might be losing ground. He's going to be trying to make these passes on Langford, but oh boy.
Howell is not looking comfortable. That car is gone. That line is gone. Howell all the way to the 3rd line trying to keep it out of the way as he's finally able to settle down. Caution is out behind him. Contact involving Wilson, Carpenter, Bradley Wilson.
And you can see the damage on that 52. Heavy contact on that right side. Completely crinkled up. And let's take a look here at what got this done. Going to be seeing that of Wilson, going to be seeing the other Wilson, going to be 3 wide. That's not where you really want to be. Pinched up, squeezed, and the Wilson's main issue. Carpenter just goes into the grass to avoid both of those drivers.
And that's the tough thing, right? I don't think James Curl realized that Wally Wilson was still alongside. Bradley Wilson started coming up for his normal line for 2x2. You had Wilson take a quick evasive action to avoid turning Curl. Wally Wilson still there. Bumper cars ensue. Carpenter and Bradley Wilson get the worst of it.
Well, drivers now going to be seeing themselves. Caleb Hill as well as Austin Teal still in pit road for required damage for themselves. Into pit road again is going to be that of Carpenter, who had some damage that he wanted to make sure was cleaned up. As up front, going to be Ryan Kuhn as well as Alex Gratz, Aaron Ruggles, Alex McCullum, Justin Brooks, Steele Langford, that Monberket, Howell, English, in top 10 finishing off going to be that of Kenny Brady. And looking at these drivers right now, Justin, we've got a couple of drivers with fresh tires that are starting to move their way up. Justin Brooks being the first of those. But here with the choose, this is when things get interesting for Brooks, because with the fresh tires, he could think about going to the high side.
With the speed he's showcased compared to the drivers on 2 tires, I think absolutely it's doable to try and use that top, but I still think at this point it's a bit risky. We've seen how difficult it is if you're 2nd or 3rd row on the top, and how many spots drivers in turn have lost when they aren't that first driver on the outside row. It really depends on your competitors in front, what they elect to choose.
What do they want? Where do they want to go? We started off with that of 28 drivers that tried to qualify themselves into this 20 drivers featured event. And we are now down to our final 15 as Paul, Teal, Fortin, as well as Cox have officially parked it for this evening. Ruggles going to be the driver going to the outside. Justin Brooks following suit. Maubriquet as well. And for Maubriquet, this is looking very similar to 2 cautions ago where he was on the outside, third car on the outside. He is not liking this positioning.
Now, Maubriquet needs to find a hole quickly. Langford right to the inside. Not going to make it easy. It's down to how Kuhn handles this. He does have some friends. 1, 2, 3.
Green flag is out, and it's going to be Maubriquet immediately finding an opening back there in that third lane, but the driver's on the outside. Going to be dropping back. Ruggles as well as Brooks. They've got to find an opening, but for right now, it's that of Ryan Kuhn. Gratz going to be your front twos. We're side by side for third. Ruggles as well as Alex McCullum. And oh no, there goes Brooks.
Brooks gets turned in the pack. Carl gets slammed. More cars crash into one. Caution is out. And Justin Brooks, one of the contenders for tonight, absolutely demolished.
Winner stage 1 and stage 2 now has got that sad nose squished in and now struggling as we take a replay here of what brings out this incident. And it's the biggest wreck of the night, Justin, and just Langford and Brooks contact with one another, and there's nowhere else for the rest of the field to go.
He tried to find the hole. Langford wasn't able to back up in the space, it looked like. And then the tough thing is he tried to correct it like we've seen several times tonight. Instead of the major drifty drift, we've seen what usually happens. The correction back to the pack. Massive collisions for Roberts and several more.
Also saw driving there was going to be the 26, who was heavily damaged, but trying to just roll his way through.
And Carl just said, my car's done, so I'm just going to full throttle around the track with the blow motor.
Yeah, that's one way to get your frustration out, which we've seen Curl have those frustrations build up through this season. I mean, you think back to New Smyrna, got so frustrated that he took out himself and Alex McCullum, and now in the lead, just pacing and just waiting to get a DQ and automatically get taken out, I think.
Yeah, I don't know what Carl's plan is here.
Everyone is questioning over the radio what's going on because Curl is still just pacing with the blown motor.
I don't think he can go much longer regardless. He's disqualified from that.
And he's gone. So that's going to be, I think, if anything, extending this pacing because drivers have to catch up to where Curl was at. And that is, you hate to see those types of moments, but James Curl, with the actions that we've seen this season, I think his time running here at the Crown Jewel E Late Model Stock Car Series could be coming to a close if the admins are not a fan of what he's been pulling off here recently.
Seen it with the season opening night with the triple header between him and McCollum for the fight for the lead that night. And wondering if he was looking for some of the drivers from that sequence. Major implications for the community side, but Brooks, absolutely majorly damaged, still trying to get repairs done in the pit lane. That will be important to watch for the rest of the night. Can he recover with the damage? 14 left on the track.
And Alex McCullum going to be on the outside. So here we go. Oh, well, if you're wondering how the LSRTV studios with Charles Wooten, where he's dealing with, well, that is real life weather that is coming down in his direction. So if we start to have any type of issues with the stream, just know that is the reason why. And we hope that weather it starts to calm down before it gets to Wichita Falls in Texas. Well, it's heating up for the drivers, getting chaotic. Well, here we go. Green flag is out. It's going to be Ryan Kuhn going to be taking the lead for now. Alex McCullum on the outside. He's got to be finding his slot to get in, but he's trapped side by side for second. Gratz is doing a great job for the 9.
Alex Gratz keeping him along the outside. Maubriquet gets bumped behind from Sean English. That allows McCollum space. McCollum tries to go for the dive bomb. Not able to close it up. McCollum watches the sliding behind as Maubriquet tries to block 2 lanes. Meanwhile, Ruggles from 6th just got shuffled all the way back to 10th and is in a bumper car match 3 wide.
Well, that's not going to be good as they continue to stay 3 wide. Howell's able to find some opening to get down low. But right now, Langford and Ruggles, will they make contact between one another? Ruggles has been really trying to pressure and squeezes the 33 up into that outside wall. Just like that, Langford losing ground, and driver that's trying to come back through this. You see that of the white and red, of the brighter red 33. That's Justin Brooks just limping his way through as Howell continues to try to make the pressure on the drivers that are thinking about potentially going 3 wide again as Howell's on the apron, but too slow on the exit of the corner.
Nice move from Langford to hold on to the apron. Brooks, his patience wearing thin behind him for 10th. Howell squeezing Brooks to the apron in the battle for 10th. Howell gives him the spot in turn after that give way up at that mark. 3:10 still for the race lead. Keep in mind, Grant still trying to look for a way to get himself to congratulation land.
But the real thing I'm watching out for, Alex McCullum. We saw at the end of stage 2, his patience was starting to wear thin. And Justin, I would imagine for this 8, he is kind of getting tired of not going to victory lane this season. He wants to get his first win potentially here, and he's got to get by that of Gratz, who, for Gratz, this is his best run all season long, as we're now coming to the final quarter of tonight's event.
Coming up to 50 laps to go indeed. McCollum pushes hard on the gas, too high up on the exit, nearly up to the wall. And keep in mind, throughout all this, there were plenty of recovery drives. Kenny Brady amongst those who took 4s up to 5th. Wally Wilson, the man on the 1-second pit stop, is back to 8th, albeit he just got shuffled out of the bottom by Langford.
Yeah, I mean, 8th now back to 9th
Oh,
after
here comes the
being
shuffle for
passed, and he's
second.
certainly trying. And yeah, I mean, the pressure is on. For Alex McCullum, he certainly is seeing his opportunities, and he's also going to be pressured by Marquette. Brady's also going to be getting mixed in with this the longer that they wait. And Gratz, yes, this is a great run for himself, but he has been one of the slower drivers that of those that in the top 9, and that's not what you want to see. Loose number 9, and McCullum waiting for that bump.
There's the bump and run, all with the back end. Just a little taps, now a big tap to the door. Gratz trying to squeeze, can't make it work. Marquette falls, the Pied Piper hole building up. Kenny Brady watches Gratz hit the wall, takes the bottom as well to rip it away from the orange and white car.
Every single time the 9 gets passed, it's another body slam to that left side, and Brady able to make the pass. English not close enough. And for that of English and Sean English in the 60, he's got a lot of front-end damage after giving a lot of bumps to a lot of drivers that have ran into or have just fallen in front of the 60. But, I mean, Justin, he's one of those drivers that took 4 tires. Watch out for English here in the late 30 laps of this run.
And keep in mind, we haven't mentioned that driver's name really all night. He's been very quiet. Practice was about mid-pack or so, around the bottom end of the top 10. Qualifying was still top 5, but didn't really do too much in the race in itself before this mark. Able to pass on by an RKM fellow competitor. Sean English absolutely have to watch for someone who has a good amount of speed in his mark. Very clean, consistent. Oh, and by the way, has one of the highest IRs in the field.
Yeah, he certainly does. He's, you know, our whole entire top 5, always 7,000 or more in iRating. This is a very stout, and if you look for competition, it's here for that of the Crown Jewel late model stock car series, and it certainly has been showing here as right now it's going to be that of Ryan Kuhn, Alex McCullum, that of Dustin Marquette, that of Kenny Brady, and that of Sean English going to be your top 5 currently, as our runners starting to get a little bit more spaced out for a leader. And for Ryan Kuhn, with the laps they're taking away and the fact that we're coming up to 40 laps to go, we've seen the tire drop off really hurt some of these drivers later on. Curious for Ryan Kuhn, is he building up this lead too big and early now? Or is he going to be able to hold off Alex McCullum, who might get a little bit more aggressive here because he doesn't have anyone else to worry about but that 72.
Keep in mind, McCollum has picked up about a 10th over the past 10 laps on average. In terms of laps, he's quicker than Kuhn right now. Here's the tough thing. Is Kuhn saving his stuff for a last gasp, or is McCollum pushing harder than what Kuhn's pushing? That is a major balancing act, which could have major implications if you go too hard and you fall off at the end. McCollum doesn't have a lot of time in the first place to get the job done here, and we've seen how aggressive he can be to fight for the lead and throughout his time on the platform.
And if Ryan Kuhn isn't able to defend that of Alex McCullum, he's going to even have a harder time trying to hold off Dustin Mombercat, because Mombercat and McCullum have been running almost identical lap times for the past 5 laps. They have been fast, they've been quick, and they're closing in on our leader. Once one moment it was 4/10 the difference, it's been cut in half. Alex McCullum is there. He's about a lap away, if he can keep up this pace, from being right on that back bumper and thinking about giving a bump.
And don't forget, the first driver in 4 tires who is not demolished is in front of English. Kenny Brady, we mentioned his name a bit throughout the night. Very quiet in that black 54 machine. Has a lot of technical support on the oval platform portion of the service, and it's getting intriguing at the back. Wally Wilson and Brad Carpenter are becoming frenemies.
I've been watching these two periodically, just been seeing over the radio. A lot of frustration from Wilson and Carpenter, and now there it goes. And that's not even the first time. That's the 3rd time that this same scenario has happened here for the past about 10 laps. Carpenter is getting frustrated, and they got to be careful, because our leaders only about 4 seconds off. If they continue on this, wrecking train, our leaders could be involved with this, Justin.
Race control has to be watching this. Wilson drifting the whole way around, spinning in front of the race leaders. That was dangerous.
There's the yellow, and we knew that was coming at some point. And for our leaders, they have to be questioning. This just throws everything away. I mean, now we got a question on where do we want to put ourselves in danger on the outside, stay low, give someone an opportunity. I mean, this just gives another chance for a lot of drivers further back, and this also is going to be putting us officially under that of 30 laps to go when we go green again.
This is not what I think Kuhn really wanted to see. A chance to restack the field in the contenders, especially those in the fresh rubber right potentially around and behind. I don't know how this can play up for McCall and Mombercat, obviously. Either it's really lane choice, but also this is where that proof of were they saving, were they pushing really comes in. Do they have enough?
Yeah, and, I mean, for Ryan Kuhn, I don't know if he's completely upset about this. He's been the leader. He's been doing a great job on these restarts. I think it's for everyone second on back. They have to be frustrated with this. I mean, Alex McCullum, now he's in a tough spot of, do I want to risk the outside lane where I'm going to have to find an opening to get down low, or do I just stay on the inside and follow Ryan Kuhn? And for Dustin Mombercat, he's got to be thinking, okay, where do I want to place myself? Do I go to the outside, inside? This is when things get frustrating for everyone further back. And if our front 3 neither of them go up to the high side, for sure, Brady, English, they're going to test that outer lane and give their chance a shot to gain some positions.
So it's basically a catch-22 in the way you just phrased that. Keep in mind, absolutely.
Yeah,
where there's strengths and there's pros and cons for a restart like this. If you're the leader, one of the contenders, or those who are just in the outside looking in, looking to become those who break through the ceiling.
I mean, and then you look even further back than that, Justin Brooks, he's in 9th place. This gives that 33 machine, that stage 1 and stage 2, he's heavily damaged, but at least gives him a chance to try to climb with a couple of positions if he can, as we are down to our last 14 drivers on track currently, as that of Roberts comes into pit road to get some damage repair service done, and Wally Wilson's going to be back in 13th with Carpenter as well, as here we go, the choose is on.
And Kenny Brady, the first to take the top. Major gamble, because almost everybody wants to be on the bottom now.
I mean, we talk about the fact that Brady and English, they have, those 4 fresh tires on when they took them. But Justin, those fresh tires were fresh 60 laps ago. And, yes, we've had a couple of yellows, but those fresh tires could be gone. It's going to be that Ryan Kuhn, Brady, Alex McCullum, Bratz, your front 4 is we're green once again. Less than 30 laps to go here for the Hampton Heat 200. And here we go for Brady. Can he make this outer lane work?
No is the answer. McCollum nearly turns him off as everybody bumps each other. Gratz gets nearly turned. He drips it again. Drips it off nearly to Langford. Brooks checks up. We stay green for now as everybody somehow saves it and doesn't pile it in.
I mean, that's just giving everyone space, and you'll love to see it. Gratz also with the non-overcorrection. That's a great call, a great save by the 9. But the driver that loved that was going to be that of Brady, able to easily slot himself down into 3rd, not lose any more ground. But McCullum, and others going to be going backwards. Too much ground. Ruggles gets into the wall. We stay green, but now we're front 5, all single file out.
Al's in the grouping with Mombercat Langford leading that respective pack, 5th on back, losing tons of ground. Mombercat losing ground and then some as a result of all the struggles. He wants to go. He tries to shove a person out of the way. Tries to shove Gratz a 2nd time. Stays in the back bumper for a 3rd time. Dives underneath the apron. Nearly thinks about a 4th time 2x2. As now more paint gets traded. Gratz going back and forth, sawing at the wheel to avoid major contact as he goes out of the groove as Howell sends it.
And here comes Justin Brooks, also going to be following suit as Royals losing ground, as well as Gratz and Howell and that of Mombercat working off one another. This is for 6th place, and here comes Howell diving it down low. And for that, Justin Brooks, he wants to see more, paint shared, so then he can try to steal away 2 more positions.
Howell nearly puts it, Mombercat on the wall. They return each other. More contact. Brooks dives underneath the 16 in turn. Brooks lets him have the bottom. All behind them, 2x2 again. Ruggles out of the groove. Roberts shuffles on by in the green and gray machine. In front of them, Brooks turns Howell.
And there he goes. Up in the outside wall, we stay green. Race control finally throws the yellow and is right in front of Wilson.
Wilson was full send, trying to get forward. Was not expecting Howell to go there. That's where the hole opened up. Yes, I don't think Howell was expecting Wilson to be full son at the time of that caution.
Mombercat trying to do an easy, quick, just bump. More contact's going to be given, and Brooks and Howell, and both looking for the same real estate. There's just no give, all take at this late in the run. And Wally Wilson, the yellow had been out, for just only that of 2 seconds. I know reaction time matters, but he looked like he never even tried to let off.
I think he realized at the last second, oh boy, he's coming forward, he's not waiting. And only had about a second to jab at the brakes. Wilson absolutely major damage to the front nose from that. EOL going to Howell from that collision. Keep in mind, that's not the first time he and Brooks traded paint and or primer tonight.
I think there's about 8 drivers you can say, hey, they've been slicing and dicing on top of one another, scraping the paint. Lights have been on, the sparks have been flying. That is for sure here this evening. And another go for Ryan Kuhn and Alex McCullum on where they want to go. But Justin, I would say everyone from about 5th on back have had a scrap with each other at some point here tonight.
I think everybody's had a scrap with each other at their time on the platform. But for tonight, for the memories being fresh, absolutely. You've had Kuhn and McCollum trade some paint here and there. You've had Brady trade some paint with some of the drivers. You've had English trade a lot of paint at times. You've had Mombercat trade a little bit of paint. You have Langford trading a lot of paint. You have Brooks crushed in trading paint. You have Wilson and Ruggles. Everyone has touched somebody at some point on the racetrack with their car. So it's been that type of short track night that you come to expect on the platform where everybody makes a friend or a frenemy or an enemy all at once.
Well, it's time for that choose cone aspect here. Where do you go? And Justin, we know where Ryan Kuhn's going to go, expecting McCollum to follow suit. As Brady tests that outside again.
I think somebody's going to try it. Obviously, it depends really on knowing the circumstance around, and obviously, seen it right there, English tries the risk. He's going outside. He wants a shot at his buddy.
Oh, I love the fact that we saw a lot of drivers thinking able to go outside, and right when English went up, got to see a major swap up of Langford as well as Mombercat and Gratz all decide, you know what, we're going to go down low. We're not even going to try. Let's just hope that everyone up on the higher lane has issues, which then gives all the positioning to Justin Brooks. He's now going to be fourth up here, and here we go.
McCollum trying to push Kuhn forward. They waited for the green, however. No spinnies yet. McCollum Clears on by for second with the lane arc. English tries to move him. English gets himself moved instead of the way to the top of the groove. Another wreck as Brooks brings Momberket, Gratz, and more cars along the front straightaway. It's a Lego set of bricks scattered around the track. Everyone demolished as Wilson slams in again.
And you see there, Wally Wilson also going to be that. Bradley Wilson going to be involved with this one. A lot of drivers all packed into one cluster. And Justin, this is going to be putting us less than 10 laps to go when we go green again. Overtime seems to be smelling. If we're going to be going again, you see English stuck there, but it's Brooks and others that just trying to react after English going so high, nowhere to go for themselves.
And everyone just scatters on in, not really any time to react to all that coming up at once, how quick that all fared out. And just about everyone who was a contender just moments ago, we just talked about, well, they're very destroyed right now. And 4 drivers really have somewhat clean cars left in the field. In fact, I don't think there's a car left that doesn't have a bent bumper at this point.
No, I mean, you could try to question that, Brady might have the cleanest car. We know Kuhn's got that rear end pushed in. Alex McCullum's got a little bit of front end damage. I think for Brady, he's got a little bit of front end damage, a slight rear left damage for the 54. I mean, a lot of our front runners have slight damage somewhere. Certainly, they're not liking the way that this has been framed. Oh man, this is it. Crunch time. Who wants to get this win? Ryan Kuhn, the only championship he's running for is to win the Triple Crown at Virginia. He won the first one a few weeks back. He's now trying to go for his second here at that of, Langley, for that of the Hampton Heat 200. And Justin, I mean, Ryan Kuhn, since he's gotten the lead, he has not looked back. No one else has been even close to the 72.
Not a shock, I think, when it comes to Kuhn and his pace. Oh, this is big. EOL, Kenny Brady.
Kenny Brady, I think he's already, with this penalty, waving the white flag, he knows it's done for his night, for going for a win.
It's down to Kuhn and McCollum. What's the front runners, in my opinion. Momberket, I think's in the conversation. Langford's been solid all night, but has had a lot of sliding this run. Then it's down to how everyone plays with each other. Does everyone keep to their space and let themselves, for a minute or two, build their Lego sets? Or does everyone stomp on each other's Lego bricks and try and knock down their Lego towers for the win?
Alex McCullum, we know how aggressive he can be. Now you got Langford going to be in that third car on the inside. Momberket's going to be testing the outside waters. Same for Justin Brooks. Brooks is going to be the same spot that he was last time. I think it's Alex McCullum that's in my mind. How aggressive will he be here? And will he be willing to just shove that of Ryan Kuhn out of the way? Because we know it's going to happen at some point.
I think he's going to be very willing to be aggressive based on the track record. If Kuhn opens up an inch, he's going for that.
Well, it's go time. Less than 10 laps to go. Who's winning the Hampton Heat 200? They're already bumping off one another. It's going to be Momberket doing everything he can to get that second place position. Great run out of the corner, but McCullum still at the quarter panel, but now clear. And Dustin Momberket's in second. He's on dead Ryan Kuhn's back bumper. Justin, 6 laps to go. The 16's there.
Justin Brooks gets shuffled all the way back to 5th. McCollum gives another bump. McCollum watches Momberket. 2 and 3 place drivers near bumper to bumper. An air sent for Momberket. He hits Kuhn. They all stack up. Momberket loses the bottom. McCollum to the inside. Side by side for second under 5 laps to go.
And just like that, Ryan Kuhn, he survives another onslaught, and he's got to hope that he's got enough on that rear bumper and that it can just hold off every single bump, because Alex McCullum, who's been lingering in second, he gave the 16 an opportunity to go for the lead. It didn't work out. Instead, he falters back to 4th. Alex McCullum, though, he's got to make sure he stays on the back bumper because we're going to 3 laps to go, and he's losing ground to that of Ryan Kuhn.
He's running out of time. He has to find the grip. He hit the wall instead. McCollum back by 0.3 of a second, about a car late. That needs to close if the 8 wants a chance. 2 laps to go as Kuhn looks to close it out, leading 72 laps so far of 190's 8 complete.
Ryan Kuhn, he survived the bump from Momberket, but he needs to still be perfect here for Alex McCullum. He needs perfection for at least one more lap to give him an opportunity. And here we go, down into turn number 3, closing in the gap. We're coming to our white flag. This is going to become official across the line. White flag in the air. It's Ryan Kuhn, Alex McCullum. Who's going to get it done here for the Hampton Heat 200 into turn number 3? The last chance for Alex McCullum. He's not close enough. It's Ryan Kuhn out of turn number 4. Going to win both of our first 2. Virginia going to be Triple Crown events. And he does it again. He did back at Sobo, and he does it here at Langley.
Make it 2 for 2 when it comes to the Virginia Triple Crown. Ryan Kuhn gets to do the dance. What a momentum of speed for the 72 throughout the night. What a run for Ryan Kuhn.
And what a rebound for that of, I gotta say, for Steele Langford. He had fallen all the way back to outside the top 10 and had worked himself up to 3rd. Great run for himself. Alex McCullum just not close enough. And it's certainly the best shot came from that of Dustin Monarquette on the back bumper of Ryan Kuhn there, Justin. And I mean, gotta give props to Ryan Kuhn. He had to hold off everyone's opportunities to give a bump to that 72.
Yeah, that was a major scrap when it came to just sorting out who would be the first in line to try and attack Ryan Kuhn. McCollum, Monarquette, Langford all had a wrestling match for that throughout the night. But keep in mind that game plan all changed with the pit calls at the end of stage 2. Brooks taking 4, putting himself at the back of the field. Kuhn taking 2 towards the front of the pack. A big game changer for the night's complexions.
As here's our unofficial racing results, as some of these positionings can change with some of the pit stops some drivers decide to make. But we know for sure Ryan Kuhn getting the win, surviving all the bumps and bruises, going to get the win here at Langley. Second place is going to be Alex McCullum. Steele Langford going to be in 3rd. Dustin Monarquette in 4th, with that of Cameron Ruggles in 5th. A great recovery for the 52 as well. That of English going to come in 6th, with just that of Justin Brooks. That of Brad Carpenter for the 31, who got muscled around, gets a top 10 finish for himself. Bradley Wilson going to get 9th, with Kenny Brady going to finish out our top 10.
Good recovery for Kenny Brady. Those will be shuffling, keep in mind, depending on how things fare officially. Cohen Roberts, 11th. Wilson in 12th. Great. He had a chance to have, Alex Gratz should say, a great run. Instead, it's 13th, 11 laps down. Hayden Howell tried strategy, didn't work out in 14th. Then Hill and Austin Teal made friends with each other, and that ended out with an ice cream social with boxing gloves for 15th and 16th. Fortian, should say, 17th Drew Cox, James Curl, Josh Cottle, top 20 of note. Cottle did not take the green.
And that's going to be your unofficial racing results. We're going to step aside real quick here. When we come back, it's the post-race show. We'll have our top 3 talking with myself and Justin. We'll be back in just a few. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our post-race show here on LSRTV for that of the Crown Jewel Elite Model Stock Car Series, as our second race of the Virginia Triple Crown event at the Hampton Heat 200 certainly did heat up as we got our top 3. We're going to start things off with a 133 of Steele Langford. Steele, got to say, you had a great recovery from a lot of these drivers. You fell out of the top 10, you moved back up. What was the hardest, though, decisions that had to be made during those restarts, and how was your run going through the field?
I hated the restarts because I was really good under green flag run and could pass a lot of people, and then the restarts were the hardest deal, just dealing with all the team racing and restart games.
And Justin, you got any questions?
Yes, I was about to say, when it comes to that, Mark, when it comes to your driving tonight, you stayed up towards the front even with all that in terms of where you started the race. It's been a big progression to get yourself into this position in the first place. How would you describe this fight throughout all that? Even with the restart games, yes, to be able to get yourself to be one of the contenders. At one point, you were riding the back bumper of Justin Brooks for the lead.
Yeah, I just wanted to stay up front as long as I could and keep the nose clean, and then I knew we were going to have cautions at the end, just managing my tires through the last run, not overdriving it so I would have something for the end, and then basically just keeping my nose clean for when all the wrecks happened.
Well, Steele, it was a great run for yourself, a top 3 finish, and before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, I'd like to thank my dad's company, Fred's Race Engine Design, for sponsoring this here in High Point, North Carolina. Do dyno work and engine work and all that stuff, so I want to thank them, and then Elite Performance Industries, and then Faster Esports, everybody over there, and that'll be it. And I just want to congratulate Ron and Alex for their finishes.
That's going to be the 133 of Steele Langford coming away with 3rd place finish. Congratulations on that, and good luck going into next week.
Thank you.
As we now head to 2nd place, we got Alex McCullum in the 8 machine. And Alex, I would imagine this 2nd place positioning is getting quite annoying for yourself, but overall, how are you feeling after tonight?
I was feeling pretty good. The first half went really well. It honestly surprised me we were able to go green there, so that was pretty fun coming through the field there slowly. But overall, it was a pretty good night. Wish we stayed green there at the end so we could race it out, but overall, it was a pretty solid night.
Well, when it comes to the battle for the race, how were you trying to play things out? Because it seemed, from our perspective, the battle for 2nd was more intense than what Ryan Kuhn was facing at times.
Yeah, track positions means a lot here with these races, but yeah, I was trying to get to Ryan, but I was trying to do it clean. You kind of have to give the guy a nudge and move him up the track a little bit, but you also don't want to wreck him and dirty him up. So I was trying my best to set up a pass clean, maybe give him a little nudge to scoot him up the track, but that's how you got to do it around here at Langley. It's so hard to pass because you can't really cut it off the center. So you just got to hope the guy hits the outside wall on the back stretch or front stretch and kind of dive bomb him a little bit. But it's just so hard with how fast these guys are and consistent they are. So everybody did a good job tonight.
Alex, a very strong run for yourself, 2nd place overall. But before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, I got to thank you guys for broadcasting, Ruggles for putting this on and giving us a place to race on Wednesday nights, JDR Graphics, and Leduc Matthews Racing.
That's going to be Alex McCullum in the 8 machine, coming away with 2nd place finish here tonight at Langley. Congratulations on that, and good luck going into next week.
Thank you.
As now we head to Victory Lane, where we find ourselves with that of Ryan Kuhn's 2nd win of the season. And first time this season we've had a driver win 2 times at 2 different tracks. Ryan, you won at the first Virginia Triple Crown event, that at South Boston. Well, how does it feel winning here at Langley and going 2 for 2 of our 3 Virginia Triple Crown events?
I'm feeling great. That was a fun race there at the end between Dustin, Alex, and Steele. The whole race was really good. So much better than the previous races, to be honest with you. Last week at the end there got crazy. Well, that was when I was race control, and Sobo was a little wacky. But this one was really good. These guys really stepped it up and really smartened up a lot. So I'm proud of those guys, and I'm proud of everyone that has made it possible. Cam's doing a great job, putting his league together. Caleb doing a good job tonight in the as race control, and all in all, it was a really good night.
And of course, when it came to the series, it was in terms of yourself on the track, a bit of a rough patch to start off. But since then, it seems momentum's starting to come the way, especially with your experience when it comes to Virginia tracks and a lot of the circuits in this region, because after all, you've been a driver in the ACT Late Model Tour in the past. How's that experience in driving to tracks such as Richmond and other tracks in the state of Virginia helped you to try and get this progression forward here in the Virginia Triple Crown portion of the schedule?
So the thing with this track is this track kind of drives like our home track, Seekonk Speedway. Oxford Plains kind of drifts pretty close to that. You kind of got to have the same little less throttle control here than Oxford, but you know, we got a bunch of tracks like this up in New England. Like I said, Seekonk, Oxford, Wiscasset. Never ran Beach Ridge. Unfortunately, they closed down. What else? We're going to be going to Spud Speedway way up in Caribou, Maine in the next couple of weeks. That's kind of a track like this as well. But you know, these types of racetracks like Lanier, Oxford, even like Irwindale Inner, they're all very close. You kind of got to drive them the same, and just like the tracks up north. But it's really helped me a lot. Sobo, I'm shocked I won Sobo. Here, I knew I was going to have a good shot. And honestly, this was a last-second decision to race. Cam convinced me last second to race, and you know, it really paid off.
That certainly did, Ryan. A great job holding off all those contenders behind you that gave you all those shots, but you held on, able to get to victory lane. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
First and foremost, RKM setup shop. All my guys over there doing an unbelievable job on the open setup side, giving me great feedback to make the setups best they possibly can. Everett's Auto Parts for my real life opportunity, giving me a chance this year. If it wasn't for them, I would not be racing in real life today. Berner's Liquors, Modern Auto Body, Coastal Heritage Bank. You guys up in the booth, Cam for putting this on, Caleb as well. You know, to the competitors tonight, they did a great job, and on to the next Triple Crown.
And we cannot wait to see you try to win and sweep the Virginia Triple Crown, as that is Ryan Kuhn, winner tonight for that of the Hampton Heat 200. Congratulations, and good luck on the next race you show up for.
Thank you, guys.
Well, Justin, just like that, Langley is done. 200 laps down, and it's Ryan Kuhn, who is so far 2 for 2 of our Virginia Triple Crown event. One more to go, and that's going to be at Martinsville later on this season. But tonight, Justin, what are some of your final thoughts for our 200 laps?
Well, it came really down in part to the strategy to be able to sort things out of the front, because the main thought for many might have been maybe 4 tires, our only chance to take the 4, but many said, okay, the tire was not as bad on the left, took the 2 tires, and that became the winning play for drivers like Kuhn, McCollum, and Langford and company. For others who took the 4, they finished as far back as 6th. English had a chance at one point, got shuffled. Brooks had a chance at one point, got involved in the first few cautions after the tires were taken. You also had others in that conversation. Brady involved in contact late. That took them out of the contention. The call was taking 2, and they proved it by the end. But Kuhn, once he got the clean space, held on to that race lead and never let go.
That back bumper must have felt like a tank with the amount of shots that he had to take, but held on and did a great job. Ryan Kuhn, winner tonight, and our first, again, driver to win 2 races at 2 different tracks. Dustin Mommercat won twice, but that was when we were staying at New Smyrna for 3 different races. Well, our next race here for that of the Crown Jewel LMSC series going to be going back to that of Hickory for the throwback 276. Drivers have been trying to set up their throwback schemes. Cannot wait to see what they're going to show us next week. But for tonight, for Justin Prince, for myself, Sam Dyer, and for LSRTV Studios, thank you for joining us for Short Track Racing Action. Cannot wait. Hope to see you next week for more Short Track Racing Action. If we don't, hopefully we'll see you tomorrow night, as we are going to be road course racing at Sonoma for that of the Northwest Truck Series. Thank you for joining us. Can't wait to see you next week. But hey, maybe we'll see you tomorrow night.